Welcome to episode 51 of our board gaming podcast. A master's degree in rolling terribly. 50 official episodes down. And guess what? I'm still your host, Detty. Joining me this week for something completely different. A man who's infected my XP bar and caused me to experience the pain and anguish of not increasing my Shackles character's level. Gaz! Say hi, Gaz.
Hey guys, and I am also unfortunately still your host, co-host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still here with me. We're still going. And you didn't really respond to my XP issue.
I thought I laughed lots at the time.
Yeah, okay.
I felt like if I kept going on, it would just be mean.
Okay. Well, karma's a bitch and it got me. So, yeah, happy days.
Yeah.
Episode 50 is behind us. We move on to the next 50. What do you want more of, Gaz? You want more Ormy? You want more Dwarf? You want Isaac on? We can do that. Do you want the Doormancer designing like sessions so we can spam the devs?
I mean, I feel like we have enough Dwarf. We could have him on more, but it would probably just be him saying sure and no a bunch. I mean, like you have a soundboard that we pretty much just can imitate him being on, right? Like, Ormy, I 100% want more Ormy. We want more Ormy back, but the fans have told us they don't want more Ormy. Like, in fact, I think I've said Ormy so many times. This probably covers us for the next 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Like, people have been saying we don't want more Ormy.
Well, maybe we can record amDirt
or Ormy. Ormy, Ormy
Yeah.
episode, yeah. That's it. We can do a bonus episode where we talk about Ormy, so all the haters can just skip it.
There'll be one person though. I think there's one person out there that really likes it. They think Ormy's hilarious. So
yeah, well, there would be one person that just accidentally downloads it and runs out of things to listen to, and they're like, I guess I'll listen to this crap. So yeah, 100% more Ormy.
Yeah, okay. I'll work on all of that. I'll see what I can get first.
I don't know. Maybe episode 100 we can get Isaac on. But do you reckon okay? Here we go. Question without notice.
Okay.
Do you think we will be finished Frosthaven by the time we get to episode 100?
We're about to finish year 2. I think so. Our older episodes did have interviews counting as episodes, so that ate into it a little bit. That would mean ultimately 100 scenarios almost, give or take. And we've got the extra the episodes where we actually do 2 scenarios in one episode. But then we've also got scenario 45 that took 2 episodes. So I don't know. No, I think we'll be done.
You reckon? So let's assume that we get 50 scenarios in between now, like 50 scenarios completed, right, over the next 50 episodes. That's a safe assumption. It give and take of us maybe having to repeat some or maybe smashing out a couple. Plus, I don't know about like travel, and we got a few weeks interrupted last year, so there's probably a chance of that happening this year, et cetera, right? Are we finished in 100 in 50 more scenarios?
I don't know. Only people who are finished will know. But then again, I do wonder how the people who have actually finished, like how many did they do? Is it anywhere between 60 and 100? Like, are there ways to be blocked off completely?
Because I think when I started,
stuff?
I've said probably a whole bunch of different things based on zero information, but I've kind of been like, oh yeah, there's like 150 scenarios. But I think that might be drastically overestimating how many you actually play. I reckon there's I don't know, because I can't remember off the thing. I know it goes up to 100 and something, but there's probably like 120, 130 actual scenarios. Yeah, but like, I mean, with the Algox quest chain, you miss like 2/3 of it.
No,
if there's
off,
if there's 18 scenarios in that, you only do 10. Right? So, I mean, I wonder if maybe we're doing sub 100.
Yeah. Don't know. Maybe we can look. Maybe we can intentionally stretch it out and just like fail a few.
Yeah, we get to the thing and where we're like, oh no, the podcast is going to end early. Let's just fail the last scenario 9 times.
Yeah, we need to finish the game on 99, do the big 100, and then I don't know. We'll work it out when we get to it. But at the moment, we are not on track. I don't think, but it's really hard to say. We're on track to getting to a year, like in real time. Because that's how time works. So that's the thing. That's around the corner.
So does that mean that every real year is 2 Frosthaven years? It's like dog years, right?
Yes.
Like 1 human year is 7 dog years. So 1 human year is 2 Frosthaven years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you've sorted that out.
That makes sense.
It's much easier than the equations that are coming at us from like Frosthaven and Gloomhaven with level times
Oh
2
yeah, I love
times
that. I
multiple.
love when you read them out and you're reading them from the book or from the thing. It's like after about the third or fourth variable, which I don't know what any of them are. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I feel like either the app will do that or this is something we need to work out later.
And most times the app does it. It's great because as I'm reading out the equation and all the numbers and letters and equations, I look up and I go, oh, it's that. It's
It's that.
the
Yeah.
84.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. 6 times level divided by L divided by C plus 2 minus how many dickweeds you've got.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, or just that number.
Yeah. And if you
Yeah.
have an Esther in the party, here's a
Yeah.
bonus.
They can have 5 XP.
That's right. That's right. So on today's episode, we are going to cover our very quick outpost event from our last session because we did not do that. We cover scenario 24, the upper spire in Robot Land, which is cool. We're finally going back to unfettered because I think the people have spoken that we need to do that. We're going to have a chat about our characters, just a little chat. Maybe a little bit on card selection and build direction and get things along those lines. Because, a lot of the times we mention Phil went in and destroyed it, it was so cool. Some people want to know a little bit about how he did it. You will not find out from us because we don't know anything about the Blink Blade, but it's like that idea, but our classes. If you're interested in ours.
It's mostly just green and purple cards. So when he flips over his AMD, they're green or purple, and then everything dies. I feel like Phil's 80% of Phil's strategy hasn't changed from when he played the Deathwalker. It's like play the right card and then just pull a crit, right? Like that's it. Yeah, like that's still mostly what he
100%.
does.
Yeah, 80% of the way he plays
Mm.
is like it's still the same deck as his Deathwalker. It's just does that have a move? That has a move. Does that have an attack? That has an attack. It's the
And
same deck.
it's like when you match up kind of synergies in games where you're like, oh, this card works really well with this class. So Phil has been looking for the synergy of class with him. So because the Blink Blade works so well with him because he draws so well. So it's kind of like when you got really high plus damage, you want attack speed in games, right? Because like you don't need more attack damage, you want to hit faster. His is like, I already do heaps of plus damage through my attack modifier deck. I need a character that hits lots of times.
Yeah.
Right, compared to like the Deathwalker, which just did hit lots of times occasionally, but not all the time. It was like kind of big hits and stuff like that, right? But the Blink Blade's like I can just do lots of attacks all the time.
It's a good point, actually. That the difference between Deathwalker and Blink Blade playstyle has been like lots and lots of not doing much in preparation for everything for the unload, whereas now he's just unloading in little bursts, and until he does the big one towards the end. PQ Chat is going to make a rear its ugly head as Gaz has something on his mind.
I feel like this is becoming a bit like what grinds my gears. It's like, oh, and Gaz wants to complain about the PQs again. So maybe I'll give a bit of a disclaimer where I don't hate them that much.
Oh, you want like a little lose your shit warning at the start of your rant?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe I need like a little. I need a what do they call them on radio? Like a sting. Yeah, it's like an intro music.
No. Oh, okay. No, I didn't know the term for it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, sting Gaz. So our post phase from last session, we're gonna do a little bit of what we did last time. No one said anything regarding amDirt Raw and the fact that the last road event we recorded, and we talked about it in the episode instead of, we're slowly breaking down all of the barriers that we put up at the start of the pod, and we're gonna play music, right? Because no one has said this is terrible and this doesn't work. So far, I assume all 100% of people are on board, and this is a great idea. It saves us having to put out a second thing.
Or everybody hated it and they all skipped, right? In which case they were like, I don't need to provide you feedback because I followed your instructions.
Yeah. It's good. I should probably go check the analytics, actually, and have a look at whether or not there's a big gap in that section.
Just assume it was great. That's it. Okay. Like, live positively, right?
Absolutely.
But in all seriousness, though, if you do or don't like that format, let us know, because it is easier for us, but also we don't want to be like robbing people of being able to listen to that. So yeah, just let us know. Just hit us up with the A or nay of whether that's cool or not, and we will do something semi-related to your feedback.
I will name the events that we're doing, so you have warning. And if you're watching on YouTube, there's going to be chapters, so that's easy. And then audio will have the music. So I'm covering all bases. I'm all good. All right.
All right.
So Winter Outpost event that we did, it was Winter Outpost event 73. It's a big number. It's not a starting 20. All right.
It wasn't an attack, was it?
I don't know. No, it wasn't. And just very quickly, after this Winter Road event 01, because we're going to be covering that. So it'll be one stretch of kind of music running both. No, it wasn't. Do you remember what it was?
We didn't get attacked.
We didn't. Correct.
That's what I remember. Because I remember you were like, whoa, this is not an attack.
No, but...
So my memory is pretty good when it comes to road events and outpost events. I think
100%
people are aware of that.
People know it's not.
What would, if you had to guess, what would you think it was?
I've got the card here, guys. It was definitely Mayor Souther coming to us with 2 balding priests. Does that ring a bell?
No, I still have no idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The temple won't stop pestering me about volunteer day. Apparently there was a volunteer day thing
Oh.
and they really wanted some money for it.
Yeah.
And then find something useful that they can volunteer for. So
I've got too many people who want to do free labor. Like, oh, what is this problem? Can you heroes please deal with this?
That's right.
Hmm.
So we gave them some work. Our choices were option A, with a group this size, you could gather a lot of lumber for future projects, which sounded pretty good. Like, I don't know where they're finding it because we can't. Unless
I mean, we built a lumber mill and then still can't have any lumber. Like, this is... Yeah.
Well, they check your little... Like one of those coffee stamp things where, you know, you get a free coffee after you punched out 30 holes. They've got theirs and they haven't punched theirs for the day. So that's why there was still lumber for them. They had to pay for it, which we didn't reimburse them.
Yeah.
The weather is ideal for a successful hunt. This is option B. You could pull together a modest feast to bring a bit of joy in these dark times. And Gaz was like, lumber or morale, right?
Hang on. That's like, yeah, talking through it, I said, look, this sounds like we're either going to get lumber from cutting it down or we're going to get morale probably out of everyone being happy, right? It was lumber or happiness, right?
Yeah.
And we associate happiness with morale as a group because we get too much of it all the time. We built a statue for God's sakes and I don't know, I don't think it gave us morale because it was for getting max morale, but it felt like it did.
Yeah. And we're done getting morale.
So
we wanted to go with the lumber thing, and we got lumber. And mind you, they got like heaps. It was great.
They did a good job. Yeah,
they did better than us.
But Detty wanted to read what the other one was.
Oh yeah, I had to because I actually went with the second one. Wait, did I? Was that the one I went for the second one?
Oh, well, that's the one. I don't know. I can't remember. I know there was one you were like, no, I think it's the other one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know which one that one's. Yeah, no, the second one was not morale. It was something way better.
Way better.
Yeah, and
Heaps better.
Look, choose it if you want to find out what it was, but
yeah, that's it. Choose it at your own risk because we could be trolling you.
That's a good point. Because we don't remember what it was.
I do.
Well, I mean, the actual.
And you have the card.
Yeah, okay. Winter Road Event 01. This is on our way to Scenario 24.
Yep. And this is the first winter event, right? Road event. Because number 1.
Oh, yes. In number order. So this is, I made a joke. This is where they're putting all their creativity in number 1 before it falls off, right?
Or it's like the first pancake, right? That's always a write-off.
Oh. That's a great way of putting it. Is that like the first child?
No, that's inappropriate.
Okay. Sorry.
Look, mate, I'm not saying it maybe in some instances isn't correct, but it's not appropriate to say.
Okay. Not to someone else.
No, yeah, also not if you have kids.
Can you say that if you have kids, though?
To your own kids? So I think it's worse if you have kids.
You were the first pancake. You know, it's a little Melissa. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, anything else happened in the outpost phase that you remember?
No.
Okay.
But in the outpost, I leveled up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, after years and years of wandering around aimlessly, you finally leveled up.
I leveled up. We got a new fist. I mean, that was pretty memorable.
Oh yeah.
With the trapper retired. I didn't get to hear it because I rocked up late. Well, I
Smart.
didn't actually rock up late. I was just later than everybody else who was super early.
Yeah, it's funny because you keep messaging me as well saying, hey, I'm on my way. Do you mind if I come a little bit earlier? And it's like, yeah, there's no worries.
Everyone's already here. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So I think lots happened actually in this Outpost event. Outpost
We
phase.
didn't get Phil's thing yet. We had something else, but I don't remember what triggered it or what it was. It was a section event, and I'm pretty sure it opened up maybe a scenario. I just don't remember which one.
Wasn't it Phil's? Oh no,
No, that was at the end of this one.
Yeah,
That's
we would
why.
have gone and done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Probably not important.
No. Okay. Yeah. So we got our fists. Mark's sorted all that out, put the items on it. He kept it at level 1, which is what we did from a card point of view. He was running at level 3 for health, and that's what we've been doing lately. Not forcing people onto it. Gaz and I happen to do it. Phil is going straight to picking his level up cards when he makes something new, and Mark wanted to actually wait to get a feel for the fist as well. And obviously we did our fist unboxing last week, and it was really cool to get a look at all the cards. So we had an idea of, what to expect from it, which was all exciting. Can't wait to see this in action. We're about to. So we head to scenario 24. We did a road event. Music. Winter road event number 1. Do you remember this?
No. I'll be honest, no.
All right. So, hey, that's a good breakthrough there. So
It's only taken a year.
yeah. So we had a Vermling that.
I remember now. Yeah.
It was all like, hey, you have to kill Clovis, and it was like, what? What? Clovis? He was just, nah, you gotta kill Clovis. He flooded my house. He's ruined all my shit. You gotta kill Clovis. Like, please. Like,
Clovis is a bad dude. Real bad dude.
So we go, okay, let's find this Clovis. And Clovis emerges from the water, and Clovis is a beaver. From what looks like a harmless beaver as well. Like, just a cool little critter doing his own thing. And the options were essentially kill Clovis or try to reason with the Vermling. Yeah, try to talk him down. He's a raving hermit. And everyone wanted to kill Clovis.
Because we have this rule where we do the worst thing, right? Because we seem to get rewarded more for doing stupid shit.
Yeah. Okay, this is where I say, this is what I said actually to you guys, was that this guy is like a crazy Vermling. What reward could possibly be good? It's going to be like 3 acorns, and we can't even use acorns because it's not a resource. Like, so you got to think about what reward could he possibly give us.
Yeah.
You got to do the opposite.
No, I get that, and I think that was super valid.
So we kill Clovis.
We kill Clovis.
So we kill Clovis and got our rewards, and it was really interesting because actually one of the things from that was whenever a character, I think for the first time loots, they actually draw 2, which was actually pretty interesting actually, which impacted one part of the scenario we did later on. So that was cool. I did check the other side, and I was upset we didn't pick that one as well. But hey, it seems to be a thing.
This is why we didn't. This is why you don't read the other side, because you realize how often you are wrong.
No, but that time I actually chose the other side. It's just I lost by majority, so I wanted to see what I would have gotten for us.
If you see, the problem is that we go with this idea that if you're passionate about an answer, then you should just be the one choosing. Nobody cared. The reason that I went to a vote is because no one was saying anything other than you going like, oh, I feel like we should do the other one, but I'm not going to really push that.
No, I didn't care enough.
It's like you
but not enough.
You wanted us to choose this one so that if we were right, then we got the good thing. But if we were wrong, then you were right.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's win-win for you in that way.
100%. That sounds good.
Okay.
I like that.
Cool.
And I was right. So scenario 24, Upper Spire. Now, the normal process for scenario selection is we wait for Gaz to arrive. And we either select one there, or after the last one that we did, we already know where we're headed. And then I have that one set up and ready to go. Lately, that has backfired, and I have found myself in trouble with selecting scenarios that for some reason keep giving us forced link scenarios. It's pretty funny for everyone who is not Gaz. This time we actually waited. for him to arrive. In the meantime, Phil actually soloed his solo scenario
No.
in one go.
Yeah.
I was watching him and I was running it, and it looked grim. And he's just like, "Oh, is winning good?" And I was like, "Yeah, well
What if I
done."
just do this and win?
He did Blink Blade stuff. We did not record it. I just didn't think he was going to make it, just because solo scenarios are known for being hard. But yep, there you go.
Yep.
In the background while this is happening, Mark was filming his trap review video, which is coming out soon. So lots of things were happening at the time. Then Gaz arrived. We decided we really needed to start nailing some of the unfettered chain. So while I was doing that, I don't know, I have no idea. I was presented with a selection of Upper Spire and Spire Basement, and being heavily distracted with something, I was like, I don't care. And then they said I was the tiebreaker, which I don't know how that works with a 4-player vote, but I went with Spire and away we went.
That's not how it worked at all.
What do you mean?
That's not the situation. You've made that up. Is that your headcanon?
I was distracted at the time. I know that you said, "Hey, Detty, where are we going? Are we going basement or Spire?" And I was like, "I don't care." And then Mark wants to go Spire, and we want to go this way. And I said, "Oh, Spire," and that was it.
No, that's not a.
That's what I remember. Oh shit! Serious?
Yes.
Oh, what happened
There was
then?
a whole incident with the decision.
No, I
Okay.
was definitely doing something else.
So what happened was I hadn't voted. Okay, Phil wanted to go basement. Mark wanted to go Spire, and I said, "Okay, Detty, pick one because we've got one for each. You pick Spire." I'm like, "Great, cool. Well, I'm gonna pick basement, so we're tied, right?"
Okay.
Okay, and then so we had to make a decision. Now this is clearly where, basically, after you said something, you were like, "I don't really care what happens now." Those other three people were just chattering in the distance. All right, I'm just gonna go somewhere else. Or maybe you were setting up the scenario because it didn't matter which way we went. We were always going to this one. So, no, because we were picking. No,
Yeah,
it did.
we were
It mattered,
choosing.
yeah, we were choosing. So I don't know what the fuck you were doing. But anyway, Mark said, because Mark wanted to go Spire, we couldn't figure it out. So Mark's like, "Okay, how about we take the Town Guard deck, and what we'll do is we'll flip over a card, and green will go Spire, because that's what he chose, and red will go basement." And I also wasn't really paying enough attention to realize what he was doing because I didn't care. I deliberately picked basement to tie it to see how we would tiebreak it, just because why not? And so Phil's like, "Sure, let's go." Anyway, it was like he flipped over like 3 or 4 cards without getting anything. It was all grey, or I think he even got the success one and the wreck card or something like that. So none of them were the colors he said, because they're yellow and I don't know what color the wreck one is, but they were all grey or like different colors. And eventually he got a green one, and then Phil's like, "Oh, okay, or whatever. No one really cares, so we're going Spire." And then but Phil's like, "Okay, well, how many until I got like a red one where we would go to the basement?" And he's flipping through, and it was at about halfway through the deck. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've been filtering that." So because with the Town Guard perks, you get to remove like negatives, and so the first thing I've been doing is trying to get rid of as many negatives as possible. So I'm like, "There's probably not very many red cards in there."
There's like 3.
About the whole deck, and it's like, not all green cards, but there's only 3 red ones. So it was very heavily stacked towards it going to Spire, which made it even more hilarious when we got in there. And I won't spoil the like setup piece, but when we found out what the objective was, and we all groaned, and we're like, "Mark, you chose this and set it up." So yeah, it was.
No, I completely forgot about all of that. And because I went back to like setting up something, and then I got super distracted. I remember the card flipping bit, and so when you remind me now. But yes,
I just love the part that you just changed it all and went like, "Yeah, so I decided this, and then that was the decider, so we went there." It's like
that's what it felt
that's what happened at all.
That's what it felt like, because that's what happens when you don't pay attention.
You just skip the spacebar through the dialogue. Yeah,
like a lot of people are doing right now. So we're at the Upper Spire, and we're following a beam of light, as you do. And for some reason, we figure, hey, let's step into the said beam of light.
Yeah, why not?
To no response. Until some kind of response. As our world kind of turns into sepia, and then we start tripping balls, and Snow Thistle was a hell of a drug. And then more weird shit occurs, and we find ourselves appearing in a room. We feel bad, like we just got off a roller coaster, and we can taste dry smokiness, whatever that tastes like. And then, no, wait, we're in a smaller room now. This is me reading the thing. I was rehashing the beginning of this Upper Spire, and it was a lot of this going on. And we're somewhere in the upper spires of the spire, the upper levels. And there's still a red beam beaming through the center of the room, and there are automations around the room. And look, there's a Chaos Demon and also a slot machine. And it's the recipe for a good time. And that was basically where we started. Now, I don't understand the automation thing because I don't see any. And Chaos Demons and Living Bones and all that kind of stuff just didn't come across as automations. But we're in Robot Land, so I guess it must have been like the theming of the room. But yeah, that's lost on me.
Isn't there like, didn't it talk about robots? I mean, the robots being controlled by demons or something like that?
Oh, is that what happened?
I don't know. I'm making this up like Detty does. Doing a Detty and just like, yeah, I heard something and just make my own headcanon up, right? No, okay. I don't know. Maybe that was something that we guessed at. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. Scenario goals. Scenario is complete when all characters have escaped.
Yeah, and that's where we groaned.
That's a collective growing.
Yeah. We just keep doing escape ones, and escape ones are tricky, and we've talked about this because it just puts so much anxiety. We don't not like that mechanic.
No,
but having that mechanic heaps, it seems to be that either we get escape mechanics or bosses.
Escape scenarios don't allow you to be anywhere near as risky, and it doesn't feel like it has got the risk reward of a standard scenario, especially because all escape ones generally rely on if anyone exhausts, it's failed.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the only part. And because we've had so many of them in a row, with the exception of the solstice place with the earth and the ice, it's been either escapes or bosses. And, I'm looking forward to a regular one where I'm allowed to exhaust again. Because that's been just really annoying lately.
It's funny because maybe the other ones are crap stuff like go loot this thing and get back to a ship.
Yeah, that's true. Look, we have not had a kill all in a while.
No, we just want a standing kill all, right? Although that's bosses, that's kill all bosses.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
at the end of that round of escaping, we read a thing. Scenario effect, all characters gain cursed twice. This is something else that's happened 3 scenarios in a row.
We're not even underwater now.
No.
It's like they ran out of ideas 50 scenarios in and like, oh, scenario effect, just give them more curses.
Like, there's an ordering here. We did choose a weird order of doing stuff that happens to line up like this. Maybe it's a bit more split, including the escape thing. Or the other thing about this scenario effect is that for the first time, I believe ever, Mark has actually copped it because he has got that perk, I think, on his fists, which was funny. So he's usually like, nope. He just says nope when I read that part out. And yeah, take that. Special rules. I was very excited for this. Shuffle the 12 numbered tokens face down next to the map. On the actual middle of the map, there are 4 corridor hexes in sort of like a crisscross kind of pattern, and they represent the beam of chaotic energy. All monsters treat all corridors as negative hexes, so they will avoid them if they can. Whenever any figure, it's important to know it's a figure, enters one of these hexes immediately, reveal a numbered token, so from 1 to 12, and in the actual scenario book, it tells you an effect of what each number hits. So 1 to 6 are all positive, healings, bless, regens, wards, strengthens, etc. And 7 to 12 are all negative, like brittle, wound, muddle, curse, suffer, trap damage, or spawn a living bones, etc. One of us don't care about several of the negative ones, which is me. So I thought it was great.
One of us really eyes lit up when they read one of those numbers. I believe it was number 9 or 8.
It was 8. It was brittle. When the numbers run out, we reshuffle them. If any character becomes exhausted, the scenario is lost. Challenge card we took in was called Glittering Distraction. Whenever there are 3 or more revealed loot tokens on the map at the end of a round, all characters gain Impair. If this scenario has no loot deck, we draw a new challenge card, which is interesting. It's probably the first one that's really forced us to loot more actively than we have been.
Mm. Yeah, and we had the choice as well, because we only took 1.
I've got the other 2 here.
Yeah, the other 2 from memory were bad. One of them was really bad in conjunction with that one as well.
Yeah, that was Fool's Gold. Whenever any character loots 1 or more loot tokens, they gain curse.
Yep. So we were forced to loot, and every time we loot, we get curse. It's like this could be really, really rough. What was the other one that we didn't choose?
Spiked Armor. All characters gain Retaliate X, range 3, where X is their shield value.
That's
and then add -1 to all character attacks, which was a fat nerf to fill.
Yeah, I feel like that's the second one we've had, which is everyone like deals one less damage, and we're never gonna take one of those while we have a blink blade, because it will just reduce the damage output by so much.
Like it affects all of us, but because of the repetition of how much he
Yeah.
hits, it's just insane. Because he hits for 2 half the time. That 2 does convert into an 8, but still.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, and it's another one of those that I was like with the armor and the retaliate one. I was just like, oh, I miss my crab. I feel like I wish you could cameo a character in just for one scenario. Like you maybe once every 10 weeks you get a cameo where you get to pull one of your other characters and just do a quick swap, right? Because just as a little bit of a recap, I've had a card on the crab that was like shield 1, permanent shield 1, retaliate 2, which basically turns that into shield 1, retaliate 3. Right. And there was another
Yeah.
card that also was shield 1, which would have meant that I had permanent shield 2 and retaliate 4.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's insane.
Well, you've also got your Bannerspear, who's got that double perk, which is basically retaliate 2, once per game.
Once per game. It's pretty much similar. One round for the whole game ever is pretty much the same as every round, every turn for the whole scenario. They're word for word almost even written the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The pets we took were Wart the Lightning Eel and What Dog,
What
the Black
dog?
Imp. What actually I just realized would have been good was Weedy. If Weedy came along with at least the shield. Oh, if we took the retaliate thing, that would have given everyone retaliate 1 for a round.
Mm.
But no, we've got Wart the Lightning Eel and What Dog. Seems to be the combo lately. And once the combinations, we get Chaos Demons again. Hi guys, how's it going? Living Bones and Wind Demons. What were your initial thoughts on Scenario 24, Gaz?
Yeah, it seems really cool. There are interesting monsters. I think we've talked about skeletons are always just okay to fight. Like they're not tanky. They do interesting things. They can do some damage, but I don't think you're really ever scared of them. Other than like when they maybe pull that, there's that chance that they pull the all targets get hit by. But I don't think you ever like, oh no, I hope they don't pull that. That just always pops out and you're like, oh, that's gonna be gross.
Oh,
Um,
their heal, shield, retaliate, whatever it is. You do hope they don't
nah,
pull that.
nobody cares about that ever. Like that never disrupts anyone's turn. Like,
Yeah.
so no, I think it was fine. And it was interesting to see how the little it's cool because it was one little room, and we kind of I guess we assumed we were going to go to other rooms or something was going to change, but it's like this is the puzzle, everything's there, go, right?
Mm.
So yeah, it was cool. I like the setup. It looked interesting.
I like the gambling and the RNG of the slot machine on the beams. The second I saw that, I was like, I want to just jump in and out of that. Like, it wasn't just because of the negative things that come from it. It's just the fact that it's a real moment of what are you doing? Don't do that. And I'm like, look what's gonna
Yeah,
happen. What's gonna happen? It's just such a firefly to a flame thing for me.
yeah, because it's like don't push that button. Why? Because something random's going to happen. It could be good or it could be bad. Like, oh, so I should push it. Well, no, because it could be bad, but it could be good. Like that's basically
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And then lastly, the only other thing I had on the initial thoughts was the escape thing. I love escape scenarios. I said it earlier. I think it really ramps up the tension, especially when you can't see the escape hexes,
Yeah.
right? It's just, as the Shackles player, I'm not enjoying them anywhere near as much because I have to, it's a different experience ultimately. It's just a different experience because I have to play a lot more conservatively only because I can't see where the exit is. So it's really hard to time all of that. So that was the only downside at the start of me going into this scenario. I'm going to be clear about something at the moment. We restarted this scenario. We did this scenario twice. I don't remember why. Can you remind me why we did this twice?
Yeah, people got a bit booked in the first room. The general gist of it is you have to kill all the monsters on the floor, and then you go into the teleporter. One of the numbers in the teleporter, which is a 12, spawns a skeleton, so that stops you from going. So this is where there's you can't just pull all the things. So you kind of want to not be pulling from the pile early because you don't want that 12 to still be in there when someone has to go through. Someone went through, I think it was me, went through. and I think I went through early, or I don't know. We didn't plan it very well, and I went into the next room, and there was about 5 mobs that were
Yeah.
all like, okay, they're all going to hit me, and
Yeah.
we kind of just made the call. I don't think we were done because we didn't know really what the next room was going to be after that, and I don't think it was all over, but it was kind of in a position where, again, this kind of influences us a little bit on time because we play from roughly about 6 till 11, right? 6 p.m. to 11 ish. It was about 8 o'clock, I think, right?
Mm,
8:30 when this happened. And so that's just long enough that we could go a bit late and still get a second go in. But if we go to like 9:30, 10, right? And then we need to restart, which is probably where it ends up going, it's too late to do it again without
yeah.
staying till like 1 a.m. And on a Monday night, that's just gross.
Yeah.
So we were kind of like, look, it's one room. It's really easy to reset. Do we want to just reset it and go again? And that way we can kind of plan a little bit better around it and just, have a think about what we're doing.
Yeah. Because these beams, right? It's like we also couldn't see the second room at the time. So when Gaz went in, oh, I think you finished the turn on the thing, right? So the all revealed
That's
enemies were
right.
dead.
Yeah, yeah. So we
And
didn't
it's like,
plan, but yeah,
no,
okay. That's what
you,
happened because I was already standing on it. We killed the last thing, and the rules are just beam up as soon as everything's dead. Just go.
yeah. So yeah, he ended up in this next room. So we couldn't help him, which then activated everything that started in the room once we set it up. They all came after Gaz. We couldn't really respond, and then it was kind of like an awkward. Oh, and that's how that works.
Yeah,
Cool. Just
yeah.
be
Read the
careful
whole
with
card.
the. That's right. So quick reset up, and then a quick jump in. Some of my memories are a little bit cross-hatched between the two, but some of the things I remember at least was Mark going up and going, "Oh, I'm a big tanky fist guy. Watch me tank." And I think he went from how much is his health? Is there 14?
14,
I
maybe
think he went from
18,
14 to
16.
like 4,
Oh, he
I
went
think.
really low really quickly. But
That's
then, like a
so
yo-yo, went straight back up.
and that's something we didn't a lot of that's him, right? He's healing himself. You're healing him. What's really funny is Phil is writing the healing meters and the damage taken meters. All of a sudden, his jobs have just doubled because
Oh,
every time Mark's at the end of his turn, he's like, "Oh, I do this much damage to then pick up a card," but then he heals at the start of his turn, so he has to keep reminding Phil. So the amount of ones and twos in Mark's column has just gone absolutely through the roof, and it's just very funny watching him try to keep up with that.
so I think in the theme as well of just trying to let people know what's going on, the reason that that happens, just for people wondering why Mark heals at the start of every turn, there's two reasons. One, the fist has a card called One with a Mountain, which is basically a persistent. It's the whole schmick, like a shtick around his character, schmick.
Yeah,
Okay, I've
Schmick.
just schmick. That's a weird coin phrase. Basically, without going through the details of one of the things on that card, because I don't want to spoil all of it, is that you have regen, and whenever you don't have regen, you have regen. So he has permanent regen. So basically, at the start of every single one, and that becomes really important to how the character plays. At the start of every turn, he has one regen, right? So Phil has to record that. But he also has boots. These boots that where if you play an initiative above 60, you heal
Mm,
one.
yeah.
Right. So between Mark's regen, the boots, and my healing banner, which also heals one at the start of Mark's turn, Phil's got to put these little lines of one everywhere. And in the
But in
fact,
different columns.
in different columns, correct. And then also because Mark, at the end of his turn, part of his thing is to do damage to himself to get a card back. And that's happening almost every single turn. So he's also having to write down damage taken.
Yes.
So it's gone from just my healing banner, which he was already a little bit annoyed about, but it was pretty easy because at the start of everyone's turn, just do a one. So now he's like one here, two there, one there, like constantly with his character. So
Yeah.
yeah, Phil's going to have a great time.
Well, then it transfers over to me because then Mark's having his turn. I'm controlling the computer and the Xhaven app. And then he goes, okay, so I walk up to this thing. Oh, that's right. I heal at the start of my turn. I hit this thing. That thing's health goes down. It retaliates, which makes Mark's health go down a little bit. Mark then heals himself in the same turn. And then he does damage to himself. And the amount of up and down his health we have to track just to make sure it's all correct to then relay to Phil. Yeah, it's a process.
Yep. Yep.
100% a process.
He's a yo-yo. The fist is a yo-yo.
So I went on Shackles. I went straight to one of the corridor tiles. I think it was like first turn. What I really wanted to do, I wanted to see whether or not I could get a brittle. It was a 1 in 12 chance. So I walked straight onto it, and everyone looked at me like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I just want one of these." And I pluck up a token with number 8 on it, and I'm like losing my shit at how lucky I got. And I'm like, "Yes, I got brittle," only to realize that I was going to get hit by the creatures to then lose brittle because I don't have delayed melody up, which is a card that makes me ignore conditions. I keep the condition, I just ignore the effect of the condition. So then it came to, guys, can you help me keep my brittle? And then everyone had to change their plans to keep the mobs off me so that I could get delayed melody down.
Do you know what, as well? I reckon this is not the first time that this has happened because you can't give yourself brittle. So part of your character is Pokemon, collect them all for status effects, right? Negative status effects. And brittle is not one you can give yourself. I'm pretty sure this is the second or third time that you've done this where you've gone like, oh, I can get brittle. And then you've went and got it and then you're like, oh, wait, it's just going to go away next turn when I either get hit or tick my 1 wound damage or something. And then you're like, oh no, what do I do? How do I keep this? It's you're like a dog chasing its tail. It's like you finally catch it and you're like, what do I do? I don't know.
Oh, it's very annoying. It's part of the puzzle, only because I haven't had to deal with brittle much. And yeah, just knowing that wound ticks brittle is very irritating when delayed melody is down or I'm trying to get it back. So yes, that was something I got very excited to do. At some stage, a skeleton went through. I don't remember how, but we blessed the skeleton, which put 2 bless or 1 bless into the AI deck, which was really funny. Mark and Retaliate. So can you explain how good was a Retaliate tank was Mark?
He was amazing. Like when he played his Retaliate card, right, basically all of the skeletons did 0 damage to anything. Like infinitely good tanking, as in like
that's true. It's true.
All damage was reduced to 0 because they never attacked.
No, they have a card that's heal 2, shield 2 or something like that on an early initiative. And every time Mark was going for a fat Retaliate round, they would pull that card.
He also had pin cushion. So he had the battle goal pin cushion. So he needed to get hit by 3 enemies. So he was pretty keen to get hit. And so he obviously was kind of lining up these turns of like, well, I'll do a Retaliate turn and I kind of do my battle goal turn and I should be okay, right? No, they didn't. I think he happened twice within like the first 5 rounds, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Not even, I reckon, less, because he's got the ability to pull cards back, so he can play the same cards again and again. And, he pulled it second turn, I think it was, and, nothing. And then tried again 3 turns later and still nothing. Which, from a team aspect, okay, so this created 2 positives for the team, right? The first is that we have half the mobs on the map aren't doing anything, right? And, they're extra shields, but we just focus on the other thing. It didn't really matter. The other thing that it did was it created the hilarious situation where he had and this is one of the benefits of having a damage meter, or negatives if you mark, is that he didn't have any damage registered. And then I think he did like an attack, but he didn't attack and it got like a -1 and it had 1 shield or 2 shields. And so it did 0. So he had a few turns where he was trying to do it and it just became a running joke that he couldn't get on the board.
Well, we didn't know it until Phil was like, oh, by the way, I just want to announce that, it's 5 rounds. Mark still hasn't hit anything.
And he'd been attacking, right? But I think 2 of those turns were the Retaliate ones where nothing hit him and he had played those cards. Jumping forward a little bit to what the pinnacle of the laughter part was that eventually my banner went through one of these teleporting things. And when you go through it, as Detty said with the rules, any figure, has to pull a token. My banner went through and pulled one that basically did trap damage to another monster. So it's like within range.
The nearest monster.
And so it feels like, oh, the banner's on the damage chart, and Mark isn't. So I think maybe 6 or 7 turns in, or it might have been. Mark hadn't done any damage yet. I'd failed to do damage, but my banner had done 5 damage.
But if Mark was here, he would tell you that the first run, the failed one that we reset, he did very well.
He did do really well. He got really unlucky with RNG. Like, I don't think there was you can't say anything about what he was doing was playing wrong. Because he was doing good stuff, but it just RNG said no. And it made some very hilarious moments.
So the token drawing ultimately does force us to draw quite a few tokens when we are moving between rooms, which once we failed the first time, it becomes a very serious thinking process. What is the ordering? How are we going to go down there? What are we going to do? And it probably took up probably a good 10, 15 minutes almost of planning that particular round, especially around rests, especially around, tempos and all that kind of stuff. It, unlike normal go through a door, it gave us something to think about. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the forest one with the imps that we did a long time ago, where to move from one to another, but it had a weird thing around it,
Yeah.
which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, so the key thing that made it hard, well, when I say hard, like needed more planning, was that there's no site, like aggro, what do you call focus rules between floors with the teleporter. So what we worked out was that once we'd killed everything, and the first person to step through and appear in the next floor, they were going to get focused by everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless they went really, really early and the monsters all went late. Okay, in which case someone else had their turn. So we needed to figure out this balance where we could get multiple people through before the monsters were going to have their turns, which is where that extra level of planning. And it, like, a couple of us have some pretty low initiative cards, so
I
it
remember what we
wasn't that
did.
hard.
Phil went down and went invisible.
That's right. Yeah, he went down first and went invisible. Yep.
Yeah. And then we went late.
That's right. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, he definitely went invisible. So yeah, he went down, went invisible. Well, that turn actually, if you don't mind me going through it, was pretty big.
No.
That kind of set it up. So he went through invisible, gave us a look at the room. Then you went through, disarmed something. And then I moved me, the banner, and Mark all through because I've got move other people cards because I think Mark was long resting. And what that meant as well was because we went through and I moved them and they appeared, I was able to put them in a position that I could appear with allies and do one of my big AoE formations, which also disarmed another one. So basically, from one turn came down, I think we were two mobs that weren't doing anything. I think one missed their turn because Phil was down there invisible. And we really didn't have to deal with anything, which meant as well, because they got disarmed, the next turn they didn't do anything either. So we kind of like skipped a whole round of them and also disarmed two of them. So that room ended up being just really easy, but because we did really well. It kind of, I remember it feeling good from hey, we puzzled this out and we did a really good job of it. Like everyone kind of worked together using their, like just one or two abilities to make it kind of really smooth.
And then we cleared that room with very much, I think, just the normal kind of stuff. And then we went, were we going to go straight into the next room or were we going to
we'll long rest because we've got heaps of cards and, we're better off doing the same thing, right? Like going in together, not one at a time.
Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins wouldn't do that. He wouldn't go into the teleporter by himself. Because we're all waiting and planning, right? We're all like, let's all long rest because even if you've got 2 or 4 cards left, long rest and get all your cards back, and then we all go in together and we win because it's an escape, right? It's an escape one.
Good strat.
Yeah, that's what we would do.
Yeah, did that happen?
No, Mark went in.
Mark went in.
Yeah.
So paint the picture. How much health did he have?
I think he had full health.
Oh, full health. Okay, nice.
Yeah, so which is I think is 16.
Okay, and he went in. How many? Does he have a lot of cards?
Look, he had some cards.
Yeah, okay. And we were long resting, is that right?
We were all long resting.
So we couldn't.
We had all also announced that we were long resting in that turn. So it was open information.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So
what happened, Gaz?
Pardon?
And then what happened, Gaz? I'm intrigued how the rest of the story pans out.
Well, I think then the pincushion, who I believe probably had already achieved his battle goal by that stage. Maybe he hadn't. Maybe that was the plan. Just appeared and all of the monsters attacked him, which is exactly what we thought was going to happen. So I think he got whacked by 3 skeletons and a wind demon.
I think he got missed by one of them, like the elite or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But he went very low very quickly, and I think he ended was like 2 health. And then the conversation after that was like, oh, okay, shit, we've got to get in there. It's right, you've got heaps of cards, right? He's like, no. It's like, right? Like you wouldn't go in by yourself on an escape mission with not lots of cards to discard if you were going to die. So it then became like Saving Private Ryan, where basically we were just airdropped in to...
It's like similar to from level 1 to like level 2, the amount of planning to make the perfect. We kind of did that all over again. about trying to get in there, but who's going after what? How are we going to save Mark? It's just, we need to go down there and save Mark. Okay, I'm going to get this one. You're going to get this one. Trying to get our initiatives as accurate as possible and just trying to pray that they didn't go super early and absolutely bookmark before either of us could go down there and do that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was like a tension moment like that.
Yeah, it was pretty tense because the Chaos Demons can go at 1, right? The Skeletons have an early-ish attack, I'm pretty sure. I know their heal retaliate shield one is, but that would never really mattered. And the Wind Demons are naturally really fast. So, but I think like Phil's got like a 4, I reckon it is that he goes at. I've got a 6, so I think like we both had cards that could go pretty early. So we were confident we could get up there and do something. So it was just what we did, like get up there and heal him and try to pull aggro and all that kind of stuff. The problem with it though is you're surrounded by skeletons, so you can't pull aggro off them because you go next to them and they're just like, oh, cool, an extra person to hit, right? So it wasn't even a case of, unless we got 3 bodies up next to them, it wasn't gonna like reduce those hits. So we really had to go in there and disarm and kill and heal. So yeah,
which we did, and it was great. We eventually cleared through that room, and then we were like, what's next? Because yeah, it was like, is there another level after this? Because we still hadn't seen the escape hexes.
Yep.
And there was a section, we finished it, and it just said, oh, the corridors are now escape hexes. And then it was like, amazing, we're done, we can relax a little bit. Actually, Gaz, do you wanna farm some XP?
Yeah, why not? Let's farm some XP.
Farm some XP. And then we wasted everyone's time because Mark was like nearly gone. He needed to escape. I think he left shortly after. Phil also was like, I can't be bothered. And Gaz and I were like, we can totally be bothered right
100%.
now.
We can be bothered for about 2 or 3 turns.
Yes.
Yep.
So we just got a whole bunch of XP and won. So we got to do that again, which is really, really fun.
And how many XP did you end up off level?
I am, everyone, 1 XP off level 8. Yep.
Should have squeezed a little bit harder, Detty. Squeezed a little bit more out.
And in the past, I've been like, damn, I'm like 2 XP off. And you're like, oh, did you count the challenges? And I'm like, oh, no, I didn't. Thanks so much. This time I did. 1 XP.
Yeah. If we'd done another challenge, you would have leveled.
Oh, that's a good point.
Squeeze a bit more,
If I
Detty.
just squeezed another round
Squeeze a bit more. Because
right.
after every scenario that I'm 2, 3, or 6 XP off leveling, I get that from Detty for a good while. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. At least you get to enjoy that level. Maybe if you just played more XP cards. Hey, you know that little blue symbol that has like the number in it and it's got like the little blue star thing? That gives you XP. If you play those cards, you get more XP. And if you played 1 more of those, you would have got another level, right? Like that's the kind of shit I cop. So look, I held back. Probably giving you more shit
positive. Now. I'm just being positive, Detty.
Yeah, that's positive, Detty. So yeah, it was a little bit of karma. The karma bus, and I was driving.
I accepted it. I 100% accepted it. It is fine. I will hopefully not happen next time. I will get 1 XP next time.
Yeah, you'll be like, the outpost phase will be like, oh, there's a Acer party and all the Acers are invited. If you're an Acer, get 5 XP. Everyone else, go fuck yourself. Like, so.
You can only hope. Our rewards were 1 random item blueprint, new scenario unlocked, 34, top of the spire, which is really, really cool. What were your thoughts on this scenario?
Yeah, it was heaps of fun. It was a cool scenario. The escape thing was hectic, but I feel like there was a couple of moments that made it worse than, well, not worse, but harder than it could needed to be. It didn't seem that difficult, but timing those things is the tricky part. I think having someone to go in invisible and then just basically scout the room, but also get rid of some of the monsters' turns, because that's what we did. Phil went in early, went invisible. We all went really late. We skipped some monsters' turns and we went in and did it. So I think that made it a bit easier. But no, I thought it was a good scenario. It's good fun.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Escape scenarios are still good. Unlike other scenarios where I get a little bit over them, whether, I don't know, they're escorts or whatever. I can't think what I hate at the moment. I hate scenario 14. Unlike scenario 14. I actually enjoy escape scenarios, and I still do. I'm a little over having this many in a row. I wouldn't mind a little bit of a mix-up, but I also, like, if you said to me, hey, do you want a loot scenario where you have to loot, like, 6 of these corpses or something?
And move them to random places in the scenario?
That's right. Or you want to do another escape, I'd 100% a pick escape.
Yeah. And the escape without spawns is the difference, is that I like the escape because it puts a timer on it. I don't like it when that's a forced. There's an extra.
So sorry about that. We had a little bit of a technical issue there and things cut out and stopped recording. It almost happened, Gaz. We almost screwed up something to the point where we had to redo the whole pod, but we don't have to redo it all.
No,
We just,
we
I
don't.
know. So still,
Yeah,
just no
just
blackout or
close,
anything like that. Was it an Ormy scenario?
Yeah, Ormi will be fine in this one mostly. I think he would focus the teleporter once everything was dead. So he might go a bit YOLO, like once we're like, oh, everyone just sit here and rest. But at least 25% of our group was already going YOLO anyway. So that probably doesn't change much. So
No.
yeah, it's probably okay with him. We just have to play a bit faster.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it'd be fine. If he just goes forward and gets clapped, then that's his fault.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how we're gonna run
It's on you,
Ormy
mate.
from now
It's on
on
you,
now.
buddy. Yep.
DPS. So damage wise, we had Mark on 25, new fist, 5 rounds of not damage followed by damage, which is awesome, Mark. Like I that comes across like a dick. I'm not being a dick. I actually mean the first time, like Gaz's first Bannerspear was like 7. Is what I'm saying.
Whoa, okay. Now you're just
sorry.
throwing shade on everyone.
Sorry,
It's
guys.
like,
I'm not trying to be
okay.
a dick. I'm just saying that. I'm the ultimate hole digger. So I just keep going down.
Just keep digging.
That's right. Gaz at 38. So see, it wasn't that much lower than Gaz.
Not patronizing at all.
It's Phil at 57. And whoa, Detty had 60. That's pretty cool.
Oh, amazing.
That's
okay.
awesome. Good job,
Yeah,
Detty.
Jesus. Well done,
That
Detty.
guy did well.
Yeah.
Damage taken. We all took, so Gaz took 20, Phil took 24, I took 29, Mark took 58. He doubled me, which is pretty cool. But he damages himself, right?
Yeah, I think 30 odd of that will be from himself.
Healing wise, though, I had 14. That's really low for me, I've just realized.
Yeah, but you didn't get hit much.
No, because I don't need to anymore. We've got Mark. That's right. That's what we worked out.
No, I mean, I think this one as well, it seems like you were playing a lot less of your eat your face cards to do damage because it's a escape one.
Yeah.
So yo-yoing your health is also a bit more dangerous, and you weren't really getting attacked all that much.
No.
So.
I had 14 healing. Phil had 17 healing. Gaz had 46 healing, and Mark finished on 49 healing. We have our outpost phase. We get attacked. We get attacked by it was Winter Outpost event, Winter Outpost event number 5. And we get attacked by the Unfettered.
Robots.
Yeah. And this was can't remember it. It was relatively meh, but it was like an attack at daytime. Do you want to go daytime when they're shut off or nighttime when they turn on? And we're turn on people.
We were surrounded. We'd been surrounded by days. Apparently it sounded like really loud and annoying. And they were like, do you want to go attack at day or attack at night?
Mm.
And we chose to attack at night.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just
an attack.
Yeah.
It was fun.
And attacks generally, you get some mats out of it. So that's what we did.
Yeah, we got some metal.
Absolutely. Scenario 73 opens up due to a section event. So we can now continue Phil's scenario, which we are probably doing straight after this. If it is including a force link. We upgraded the mining camp as a building.
People on audio cannot hear me shaking my head.
No, I'll add a swooshing sound for you.
Yeah. Okay. We are not doing it. We are banned from force link scenarios for at least the next 7 scenarios.
Okay, that's fair. And that was pretty much the rest of that. Now, there's been a conversation on Discord recently about a party composition and talking about some of the things that our classes do and who's playing what and a bit of card play. And sometimes it can be hard to follow a little bit of that because we don't really go into a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just figured maybe we'll have a little bit of an opportunity to have a little bit of a breakdown with kind of our play style, what we're trying to achieve, and what our build kind of looks like in a nutshell, just to give people a bit of a snapshot of that. Now, we can't do that for Phil and Mark because they're playing characters that we only really observe and we see them from a number point of view, whether it's their health going up and down and they're dying or they're doing damage. So one day we'll have to have a chat with them and sit down and maybe we can have a Blink Blade and especially a brand new fist, a fist sesh, and we'll record that. Sorry, that class is just so much fun to squeeze into every conversation.
The fist?
Yes.
Yeah, I know, it's totally. I hope that we have more memes, pun type characters that we can make lots of jokes about.
Yeah. Let's talk about the shackles just a little bit. So at the very start of playing the shackles, okay, we learned about the conditions. I have my shackles unboxing video. We had a chat about we want to collect. You're kind of immune to a lot of conditions with delayed melody. You've got ways of spreading them around. You've got ways to enhance your attacks from having them, and then there are also shared like pain. Ultimately, you can do damage to yourself, or if you receive damage, something else takes damage. And that was kind of it in a nutshell. I had to sort of work out how I was going to play it, and I chose to kind of go with a more affliction based with Shed Affliction and Delayed Melody, trying to more the conditions, basically. I didn't really want to go down a Retaliate kind of play style. At the time, were you on the crab back then? I think you still were.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like towards the later end of the crab. And I was like, Gaz is already doing all of that. I don't really want to do that with this because it feels like you can do it in a different way. Right? I don't want to sit there and be Retaliate tanking. I want to, this whole condition thing seems very interesting. I want to see how all this plays out. So I was kind of struggling with how to get all of this working. And the things that I seemed to struggle with were elements. My biggest thing was trying to get fire and wind up. Fire is the one that's most important at the moment for trying to work with either with stacking up damage through the agony of others and the cards that basically buff up depending on how many conditions I have. So the struggle of trying to get the cards in the right order and trying to get the elements, I was having a real bad time. And I actually had a chat with Gaz about this quite a while back, and I was like, oh, I'm not 100% sure if I'm doing this properly, and it's really hard to get delayed melody out, and I've only got a 10 card hand limit. And you gave me some really good advice, and that was, look, based on some of the perks and based on how much you really want to book yourself, you may want to play it in almost like a kamikaze in a way. Not to the point where you'll die, but burn hard. Go nuts, do a maximum amount of damage. You can flip the tempo in our favor so that the rest of the scenario may be easier. And if you die, it's not the end of the world. You've literally got a perk that when you exhaust, you curse everyone within range 3. That could be a hint as to what you should be doing or a way you could be playing it. And since then, I've never looked back. So thank you, guys. That really did help me out, especially for someone who wasn't playing the Shackles. Two important things that I really enjoy every single time is the Burned at Both Ends card, which is a level 3 card. This is the one that basically allows you, I use it mostly for the bottom. It's a move 3, disarm one adjacent enemy and myself. I use this now to obviously disarm something, put it on myself. There's one of my conditions. I can set up something else in the future. That's working on building up those conditions for delayed melody. I also now at level, I think 6, picked up Phantom Limb, which allows me to attack with a disarm token on me, even if I already am disarmed. So even if I don't have melody up, I can do this round 1, which is something I like to do. So I really like that. The other thing I like is Infection Purge. This is the greatest card ever. You and 2 enemies within range 3 suffer 1 damage plus X, where X is the number of negative conditions you have. And that's the one that I keep using. That's the one you guys keep seeing. That's the one where I have to keep checking on how much health I have at the time. Because sometimes if I'm running around with 5 or 6 conditions on me, which is rare to get that high, it's easily a 12 damage turn or a 14 damage turn, which I like doing. This is my issue. Delayed Melody is only up for 5 rounds. In any given rest cycle, I only get to play this once, right? I'd love to pump it out over and over again, book myself over and over again, keep myself healed up. It's that whole tempo between, do I rest, short rest to get it back out? Do I not? I don't know. And that's still what I'm kind of learning. Right now, the process is, no, I just burn through as much of my cards as I can, do my long rest, and yeah, try and work out whether or not this is a scenario where I can use an item that I have to get delayed melody back into my hand so I can go for another 5 rounds and do some more crazy shit.
Yeah, from an observation of without knowing what cards you're playing, but you've been doing really well with that, and especially considering the types of scenarios we've had. We've had a lot of escape ones, which put a little bit more restriction on how like reckless you can be. But I know that there's been a couple that you've gotten Dark Melody out twice. But even when you haven't, you still managed to stay relevant, which has
Yeah.
been good. And yeah, the disarm thing is helping a lot. The pure damage seems to help a lot as well. Like overall, it's damage meters can be one thing, and you can see a high number and say that's really good. But I think it's when and how the damage is being applied. Been a lot of times, a lot of times per scenario where I can deal with that because you're doing 4 damage, 5 damage, whatever it is, to it, and it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to change that. That's really kind of rare.
Mm.
So, I mean, pure damage tends to be lower numbers or really specific, like the trap throwing a big kind of trap at someone, whereas you can cycle that through. So it's kind of really cool to have that reliable.
Mm.
And you tend to do it on things we need to finish off. Like, I'll take care of that stun. All right, great.
Yeah.
That's it. Right. We
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it. And yeah, so I think that's from an outside perspective, kind of where I see you running around doing your thing.
Yeah. And generally, I don't really like. I like the role I'm playing right now, which is I'm not going out of my way to. Ultimately, I'm asking everyone, what is everyone hitting? What do you want deleted? And the
Mm.
pure damage allows me to do that in a lot of
Yep.
instances, especially with high shield, low health. I'm very much enjoying that. And then it's, just trying to keep myself up. And then if delayed melody falls off, working out how to get some of my hits in there to, to maximize effectiveness while keeping myself alive. I think the Shackles at the moment, in the way I'm playing it and the way it feels great. It actually, for the last probably 4 or 5 scenarios, it has really felt and really sang to me. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, cool.
What about the
Uh,
BS?
the BS, the Bannerspear. So it's tricky to talk through this because a lot of the cards are formations, and the formations, for those that haven't played the Bannerspear, basically like you've got to stand in a position with an ally in a certain position around you, and the monsters have to be in another certain position. And that's not, you can't change that around. You can flip it, you can like, but you can't just be like, no, I'm going to move that square, hex there, right? So there you go. So I won't talk specifically about the actual formations, but I'll talk about a couple of cards that I find I can generally get off quite regularly. Before that, though, out of the formations, a card that getting used almost every single time. I think I didn't take it once, and then it was like, oh, where was that card? Is where is it?
You're there.
Huh?
I'm just messing with you. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Driving inspiration. So I was looking for the card name.
Yeah, okay.
Summon a banner of hope. So the kind of thing with the banner spear is banners. So they're inanimate summons that kind of have an aura effect. The one that we use a lot is the banner of hope. Basically, at the start of a target's turn, if they start their turn within range 3 of the banner, they heal oneself. So great for getting rid of wound. Great for just topping everyone up. And generally keeping the banner alive is pretty big. Actually, speaking about the last scenario, that was one of the other things that happened right before we went downstairs. The banner got booked by one of the skeletons because it came in and just hit everything. So it's generally a thing, and especially with Mark now playing the fist, wanting lots of heals all the time, that one does add up quite quickly. So
I'm actually
that,
really impressed. When we did the Banner Spear unboxing and we were reading these cards, that one there, it doesn't look that special. I'm surprised at how effective it's been. Not
yep.
just you're obviously going out of your way. We're all going out of way to keep it alive, but it's
Mm.
been absolutely game changing in so many scenarios. Just having it there, we've gotten accustomed to. Oh, it's the start of my turn. Oh, I'll heal from the banner, please, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's I'm really impressed with how much you've managed to squeeze out of that.
Yeah. And I can't buff it. I can enchant it, but I can only give it more life, which is fine, but I don't think it's worth it.
Mm.
So, um, but yeah, so there's that. The other couple of banners have not really used. Like one of them lets people do extra damage, which could be kind of good. It's only once per turn though, so it doesn't stack with Phil's Blink Blade, kind of lots of multi attacks. And another one does some shields, which again is okay, but it's adjacent. So they're kind of two of the ones that. Sorry, the Banner of Hope is what I've used a fair bit. The formations that I with this class, probably definitely more than the Gemini and more than the Crab that I played, I have been at the start of the scenario looking what's there and then kind of switching my cards based on that. I'll probably talk about this a bit more. I was going into it a little bit with Phil after the scenario and after I leveled, but I feel like the the way the Bannerspear works with the different formations is that it's like different utilities, because none of them are really better or worse than others. They're just different.
Mm.
I mean, for example, one of the ones I use quite often is combined effort because it's basically like have someone next to you and a monster next to both of you, deal 3 damage and wound. Like it's pretty easy to actually get off. Uh, you know, There's another one that I use all the time, actually. Let them come, which is stand next to someone and then in basically like a little the square ahead and then two by that. This is why I didn't want to talk about formations on here because it's stupid. But basically, stand next to someone and you heal them for two, and then someone monsters within the area effect or get attacked for two and poison. But that can be kind of really good, is because it heals me for two, it heals them for two, and then when you add the banner, it kind of means that round me and someone else are getting healed for three, which again considering how little healing we've had over almost all of our characters in play, like it's heaps more than we're used to.
Yeah.
So there are a couple that I use. One that I try to get off because it's really good, but it's really actually quite hard, is Boldening Blow. Now this is one where I actually need two allies. So this was a level 4 card that I got.
This is the donut
And
one, isn't it?
yeah. So the picture is misleading because it doesn't hit everything. It only hits one target. So Dwarf was very quick to let me know that. But so you need two allies, and then you basically have to stand in front of those two allies, and then it hits one target basically next to you and disarms them. So it's pretty good. And those two allies get bless.
Yeah. Okay.
So ideally, I want to get this off every cycle.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's putting two blesses into our decks, right?
Yeah.
Which is really good. And it's disarming a creature, so that means it's a turn they don't attack. But I find having two people next to each other is actually really hard. So I'm trying to do it more and more where I'm using my banner, because then I bless myself.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah. I like that.
So yeah, that's kind of the plan, but it doesn't always play out. And then probably the only other card of note that I use most of the time, I think I took it out once and then I put it straight back in, was set for the charge, which the top basically says don't do anything because the top of this is shit. But the bottom is a move 4, but it goes at 6 initiative. So it's kind of irrelevant, and I usually pick it when I want to go fast and then go, I guess I will move.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, the top isn't shit, actually, and after clarifying the rules, it's basically if anything moves next to you that turn, it takes 2 pure damage, but it also
nice.
counts for force move.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's probably ways that we could use it better, but I'm usually attacking. Like, the top, it's one of the cards. There is a different build, like you were talking about Retaliate build with the Shackles versus kind of like the Affliction, negative conditions build. I think there is a tanky build with the Bannerspear, which I didn't do because I just did that with the crab. And the more I'm going into it, the more I'm seeing it would have been more tanky and kind of retaliatey in a way. So yeah, it's interesting. I've kind of gone more Healy support with a bit of damage.
How are you
So
finding getting teammates into positions?
it's fine. You just ask them.
That is working for you.
Yeah, just like it's cool because it would be really easy for people to go, I don't care. But pretty much everyone at the table since I've been playing it has been like, where do you want me? Like, especially Phil. He's just like, where do you want me? Like, because his movement is ridiculous. And I think also a lot of the time he's going to go so early that he's going to attack and move before I have my turn. So he's kind of like, do you want me to stand somewhere? Mark was the same on the trap. I imagine it's going to be even easier with the fist because he's going to be up in the fight. But yeah, I'm finding if I'm like, hey, can I get anyone to stand here? Usually someone can make that work.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Which is great.
You've done really well. I expected there to be more situations where you were like, guys, help me out. And we're all like, oh,
Yeah.
we're like,
Look,
oh,
if
look,
you're
we
in a
can
group like that
try.
or you don't want to ask, like they're the two things I could see that suck by this. And I'll talk, maybe we'll do a bit of a review later on where we can go into more detail. But yeah, everyone has done a great job of facilitating needing to be in places. And that's kind of why I feel like I've gone a bit supporty because I'm like, well, you guys are kind of helping me. So maybe I should use the abilities that kind of help you.
Yeah, okay.
Like, it's
Oh,
that way
yeah.
it's not just like, oh, well, can you stand here so I can do like heaps of damage? That's it. End of story,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So,
No, that's completely fair. Thank you very much
uh,
for that. That was really cool.
yep. So, yeah, we can talk more about my other cards once I level up.
Yeah. I think Gaz and I will be looking to do our I want to say a mid PQ, kind of midway through, halfway point discussion where we actually break down our classes a little bit more, probably more video style like we did with our Shackles and Bannerspear unboxing. Um, problem with that is I'm about to retire, and he is nowhere
Yeah, we
near
got to get in quick.
retiring.
I'm not retiring anytime soon.
Why is that?
Speaking of which, because my PQ has been delayed.
Oh, is this because of the game? Is it because of you? Is it what has caused
Look, I
such
mean,
a
I
delay?
guess
Because
ultimately it's all because of our decisions, but the decisions haven't been like, yeah. So, I don't. Do you want me to spoil it?
I don't, only if you want to.
Oh yeah, I suppose I said it. I put it in spoil tag. So again, just skip forward 30 seconds if you don't want to hear this. My PQ is spend 70 gold at the
Red Oak Temple.
temple.
Mm,
Yeah. Now it costs for those that haven't unlocked it that are still listening to this. It costs 5 gold to bless yourself. You get 2 blesses for 5 gold,
yep.
which means I need to spend 14 outpost phases spending money.
Yep.
The problem with that, other than not having money, which I think hasn't happened, I think I've been pretty good at making sure that I've got the 5 gold,
Mm,
is that
Force
forced link
Link.
scenario mean you don't get to go back to Frosthaven, meaning you're completing an extra one. And we've done, I think, 4 of them now. I think four since I have opened up the Bannerspear,
Yeah.
meaning that 14 scenarios, which is the minimum that you can do, turns into 18. Which again is our fault because we're choosing to do those scenarios. But one of those was your PQ, right? To finish that scenario. I think 2 of them have come from Phil's PQs. So it's not really optional. Like, sure, I could have not done that, but you'd still be playing the Snowflake,
Yeah. Well, we had a lurker
right?
one as well, right?
Well, yeah, and there's a lurker one. That's what I mean. Like, so the
Yeah.
lurker one was optional.
Okay.
But then again, we went to the lurker one to retire the trap because he needed to
Mm,
kill imps. So this
mm.
is the thing, like, I'm not like saying that this is dumb and it's broken and it doesn't make sense because you can't control it. You can't 100% could. We could have been really selfish and said, guys, for the next 14 scenarios, I don't want to do any link scenarios. But again, that would mean that you wouldn't have retired your Snowflake. We wouldn't have even barely started Phil's PQ, and we probably have to go somewhere else to find the imps for Mark, which
Okay.
means we also don't progress the lurker chain, which is what we wanted to do. So the fact that it's based around
Is
the
it the
outpost
type of
phase.
PQ? Is it the type of PQ? Like the actual thing in a nutshell would be fine normally, right? But because you've got all these other elements happening in any given game, it was then poorly thought out because of, you know, it sounds fine
Um,
on paper until you put it into practice with how much it's potentially interfering with other flows in the game.
yeah, I think that any PQ that revolves around the outpost phase is going to suffer from this, right? Because yours is the same,
Kind of, yeah.
like it
No,
is.
it is,
The
but
only
I can
thing
speed mine up. You can't.
correct, that's the difference, right? So, say for example, I don't know. Again, talking about yours, but yours is build X amount of buildings,
Yep,
right? So yours is a lower number than mine, and you can go twice as fast.
correct.
So that's the difference, right? So on average, with the extra 4, yours will take about 16 scenarios. But you can speed that up by 2 or 3, and now you're back down to a reasonable amount, which you probably
Mm,
can hit that 15, right? Even your drifter one, which was meet 9, was it 9
eight,
people?
eight.
8 people with names, right? That one completely out of your control does get stopped by the linked scenarios, but it's 8. So
Mm,
even if you get 4, right? Like which is I'm just using 4 as the example because that's what we've encountered due to kind of luck of the other PQs we've had. You have 4, you're still only up to 12. Now you
mm,
can miss it. That's one that could go really badly. Like that one could go forever, right? I don't know. I haven't looked through the deck. I don't know what the stats are, but you could get unlucky, right?
yeah,
So a bunch of force links plus a bunch of outpost phases that don't have a named character, you could be stuck doing that one for yonks, which then again is a problem.
yeah.
So I think it's more just that there are extreme bad luck cases or where the planets align to make something a bit worse that can affect some of these.
Mm.
And we talked about a bit this with your Snowflake PQ, which was a never ending story,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I think yours might be more a never ending story now.
Well, I mean, so again, yours was the case of we started it late, so therefore, because it's time gated so far, that's what screwed us,
Mm.
right? But even in saying that, forced link scenarios would do exactly the same thing to that PQ, except that you're probably force linking. Oh no, because you got to go back.
Mm.
A week doesn't go,
No.
So Force Link would also screw that over because you're not progressing time.
Mm.
Because again, imagine if you added 4 more weeks to your Snowflake one.
Mm.
Like you'd be at like 60 weeks or something. You'd still be playing it.
It's true. It's also we didn't get many Force Links until now, like leading
Yeah.
up to this. So it's the fact that everything's coming at the same time. Now,
Yeah.
a way to fix this would be just like it would not impact any other part of the game except for your PQ right now, which would be allowing the person to donate as much money as they want for the same 2 blesses, right? It's a church. What church is going to say no to you
Yeah.
saying, hey, I'll give you 10? How about I give you 10? Maximum of 10, but it just speeds things up a little bit and I get no benefit other than I get to retire faster. Is that a benefit? I don't know.
Yeah. The thing that makes it extra hard is that unlike your Snowflake, because with your Snowflake, you got towards the end, we were still waiting 3 or 4 weeks for your last scenario to unlock. So you just shelved it and then got the shackles out
Mm.
and played a couple of scenarios with the shackles.
Yeah, it's true.
I can't because I have
No.
to do the outpost phase.
And we want the building.
And we need the building. So
Yeah.
if it was a nothing one, I'd eventually, sure, whatever, I could do this, and then when I forget, I'll So it's just a case of like I just have to put up with it. But it's annoying because it's going to be like I just hit level 7, I think. Right. And I
Yeah.
think I still have at least another 7 outpost phases to get through.
Okay. It might give you 1 or 2, maybe 3 at 9, right?
Yeah, probably.
Is
I
that too
mean,
many?
what? No, I
Okay.
mean, look, I'm 7, right? I'm probably gonna hit 9 in 4 scenarios. So yeah, if it's 7,
Oh, it's you
um,
though, so you never know.
what? Well, that's exactly it. Maybe we'll do a couple more force links, right? But that's kind of why any force link now I just can't do. Like I've kind of got to go.
And I think the group
We can't
understands
do it.
that. Yeah.
But the problem is, if Phil's PQ comes up and one of them's a force link, because there's still like 3 scenarios left on that, and one of them's a force link. I mean, it's like, okay, you don't get to retire because I want to retire, and it's not even by 1 week. It's just it's kind of just a messy situation. So
All right. Well, if you can offer us any advice that won't break the game, maybe there's something in the rulebook we haven't seen. Maybe there's something on the temple card that we haven't seen. Maybe Gaz accidentally got a totally different PQ. Who knows? Dwarf, help.
no,
Help.
I've spoken to Dwarf. He's adamant on this because we've had discussions in the Discord about it, and without going too far in, he thinks it's fine.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So it's fine.
So, look, everything you said, we sympathize. Get wrecked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Rip me.
Well,
So I mean, really, it's a negative because not only does our group, but everyone that listens to this podcast just going to have to hear me complain about it.
oh, okay.
So hot
Okay.
fix, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, can we get a hot fix? You know how they do those ninja patches in games where you don't even know that there's a patch because they don't announce it because it's really just like we fixed this because it was busted, right?
Yeah,
And then it's just different.
you come over and there's like a big fat 65 gold spent on your character sheet. You spent 65. They've patched it, so Gaz has actually spent more already.
That's it.
You're looking for
That's
one of
it. They
those.
lowered it to 12 or to
Yeah.
10. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, we will wrap it up there. Thank you for listening to another episode of amDirt. We're very much looking forward to the next 50, or now 49, or is it 48? I can't do math. Either way, join our Discord. I'll send another link in there. Thank you very much for being part of our special. And yeah, we'll see you around the corner. I've been Detty. I've been joined by Gaz.
and remember, when it comes to rolling terribly, it's all in the wrist.